Hello, everyone, and welcome back. It is me once again, your movie guru, back with another review. This movie is one that I don't want to say that I had been waiting for, but it was something that I was very interested to see how it would turn out. Of course, the film I'm talking about is Brightburn. This one is produced by James Gunn. You might know him from films such as Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2. He's also been producers on a lot of the Avengers movies, and he's also not new to horror. He's had films such as Slither, and then more recently, The Belko Experiment. So he's definitely had his foot in horror and quite a few films, even some indie films. And this film had what I thought was a pretty interesting concept. So basically, for those of you who haven't seen the trailer or anything, it's kind of a riff of Superman. For those of you who never seen a Superman movie or anything, most people know though that the basic story is he's an alien. He comes down in a meteor shower. He's found in Kansas, and then a loving mom and dad raise him to become the man that he is. Raise Clark Kent to become Superman. And so this horror film kind of takes a riff on that and says, okay, what if this alien crashes down and he has these abilities, but he doesn't turn out to be a good guy? And so that's the premise. I'll give you the rating right away. I gave this one 7 out of 10. I thought it was just okay. And so far it's got a 61%, I believe it is, on Rotten Tomatoes. And this is why I believe. It does some things very well, and then some things not so well. So like I said, I thought the concept was pretty interesting, this whole bad Superman take. And if you're a fan of the comics, I think this is a film that you'd like to see, just to see that juxtaposition. Or if you're a fan of horror, this is something that you'd want to see as well. But this is one film where I think they got the focus wrong. So a lot of times in these kind of supernatural powered villains types of film, horror films, one of the most interesting things is the creature itself. You want to know. I'm thinking of Jeepers Creepers comes to mind. Even some films, horror films like The Nun, or where there's ghosts or a demon, and you want to learn more about this creature and what are its origins and what it can do. This film, that I think they kind of focused on that a little bit too much, because we kind of already get the basic idea. This is kind of a mini tiered Superman. So super speed. They showed flight. They showed laser vision. I'm not giving away anything that's not in the trailer. Super strength. So these are things that we expected him to have. So in that respect, focusing on him figuring out how to do this and being able to do this, it wasn't the most interesting to me, because it's, first off, we've seen it in the trailer, and, we kind of, most people are kind of familiar with Superman and what he can do. And so we kind of expect, what his abilities are. Second thing is, I think this is a film, and I do see some horror films fall victim to this, confusing danger with scary. There are things, things that are dangerous, obviously, are scary. That's a big part of what makes things scary, is things being dangerous. But that's not the only component. If you look at people's biggest fears, some of them are public speaking or afraid of the dark. These aren't things that aren't inherently dangerous. Getting up and talking in front of a crowd isn't going to physically hurt you. Once you become an adult, you know that it's dark. You can't see what's there, but it doesn't mean that there's creatures and things in the night. It's just the dark. But what makes something scary is not just the danger behind it. It's the consciousness that goes into it. You know, how it makes you feel, how a situation makes you feel that can make, you know, something terrifying. You know, I can think of a situation that's very dangerous, but you know, it's something that it's not gonna infuse you with fear. You know, some situations, you know, speeding. You know, if I'm going 100 miles an hour and 30 miles on, that is something that's very dangerous. But you know, given the circumstances, it might not be, you know, scary for me if I'm driving. But you know, if you put me in the ocean, you know, with a shark, and I know it's somewhere around, that is something that, you know, me personally and a lot of other people would fill me with dread. You know, even though the speeding situation may be as dangerous or even more dangerous. Uh, and with this film, you know, it's kind of obvious. You know, if someone had the abilities, or even, you know, half the abilities of Superman, and they were malevolent, you know, of course, this creature would, you know, this person, this entity would be very dangerous. You know, if someone is got the power of Superman and they want to kill you or they want to cause harm, you know, they're basically going to be able to do whatever they want. But that doesn't necessarily make them, you know, a very scary character. You know, I could be more frightened by being, you know, eaten alive by a grizzly bear than I am about this superpowered creature, even though this superpowered creature, you know, is infinitely more powerful than this grizzly bear. And that's one of the things that I think if you watch the movie, you will see that, you know, yes, you know, this guy, this kid is scary because of his abilities, but I didn't really think they fleshed him out as a character enough to make it as scary as it could have been. It was more just, you know, hey, there's this superpowered thing and he's, you know, strong enough to have his way with you. You know, that said, like I said, I really enjoyed the concept, and I think if they would have taken it another way, then I think it could have been better done. Another gripe, I guess, that I would say that I have with the film is that it relied, you know, as for something that was very, you know, supposed to be scary, it relied on, to do the scaring, mostly it was some of the gorier parts, and and you know, it used a lot of jump scares. If you're, you know, a true kind of horror hound type person, you know, jump scares are kind of like, you know, bottom of the barrel. That's definitely not, you know, top shelf scares. And what I mean when I say things like that is it's not something that's going to stick with you and resonate with you. A jump scare is something that's going to be scary at that point in time, but it's not something that you're going to go home and think about. It's not something that's, you know, you're going to be driving the next day and you thinking about some jump scare that happened. Whereas really good horror films that have, you know, really good scare sequences, you know, just in your everyday life, or if you see a scenario similar to what you saw in the movie, you know, it'll cause you with a bit of fear. Just as a quick example, you know, I can think of, you know, Final Destination and the first one. We're not going to get into the sequels, but, you know, some of the scenes that happened in that film, you know, I will still think about, you know, when I'm driving, you know, I will think about things that happened in Final Destination. You know, there's a particular scene, if you've seen it, that you know what I'm talking about. And so, you know, that will still cause me fear to, you know, to this day. That's, you know, a what I call a top shelf scare, not, you know, something bottom of the barrel, like, you know, just kind of like a temporary surge that you get from a jump scare. And it kind of relies on that a lot, and then it relies on, you know, some of the gorier parts to scare you. You know, I said, I'm not, you know, I don't have a problem with gore. You know, I think that it can be used effectively, but I don't think that it should be the main thing. You know, that's what you're driving the fear in the film, vice the film actually being scary. You know, like, once again, you know that someone that has the abilities that this person has, if someone has Superman-like abilities, okay, yes, they could kill you in gory ways if they so chose. Like I said, I've spent a lot of time talking about things that I didn't like with the movie. That's not to say, I said I thought it was a terrible film. I think Rotten Tomatoes, that 61% score, I think it is an adequate score. Like I said, I gave it a 7 out of 10. Maybe even getting to 6.5, 7 out of 10. I do think, if you're a really big horror fan, I think this is something you'll enjoy. And if you're a big Superman fan, I think this is something you'll enjoy too. Like I said, I give it props for it is definitely a novel turn on, that concept. That is something unique. I do try to give films credit and try to support films that come with new ideas that aren't just sequels and prequels and adaptations of things that we've seen before and remakes and all that. So I do give them props to that. If you do see it, go and see it. There are scenes not at the end of the credits, but like partially through the credits, where it does gives little hints at where possibly they might take it in the future. I'm not sure if there's going to be a sequel, but they do leave room for possible things that could happen. Maybe even a monster type universe. I wasn't 100% clear on that, but who knows. Like I said, if they do make another one, I would go and see that one. I would be interested to see the new direction they take this, now that we don't have to have the boys' origin anymore, and I would really like to see them more explore the concept of what would a world be like, with an evil Superman, or what would motivate this evil Superman, let me know more about his personality and his motivations and his goals, and what this world that he would live in would entail, and at what lengths would people go to dethrone him, so to speak. But anyway, thanks again for watching. I'll probably have another one coming pretty soon. Next one is probably going to be Aladdin. Don't hold me to that, but most likely Aladdin. Once again, I want to thank you guys for watching. Hit the like, subscribe button if you like what you see. If you agree with me, if you don't agree with me, let me know. Leave me a comment. Thanks once again, guys. I appreciate the support.